Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast. Join your host, Nicole Cox, as she dives into the real stories, tips, secrets, and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside the trade world. Nick is here to help you break free from the grind, reduce money stress, and build a trade business that truly works for you. So grab a brew, put your phone on silent, and get ready to be inspired.
Welcome back to the Tradies in Business podcast. I have a guest who's a bit of an old hat at these days. He's done it a few times. And one of our favourites here in Tradies in Business, we have another real tradie story. Steve Rooney, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
What am I, third time? I'd probably almost be a guest host rather than just a guest now.
You absolutely could be. You know the whole ins and outs of it these days.
Nice.
Rains, for anybody that hasn't heard your story previously, would you do us the honour of sharing how you came to be a landscaper in the first place and a little bit about your journey to this point?
When I was 8 years old, I remember planting a tree in the front yard and randomly said that would be a pretty good job to do when I got older. Then decided that I was going to be a psychologist and got to year 11 and 12, did all going down a psychology track, and then realised very quickly into probably about year 11 that, nah, probably not. And not that I wasn't going to get the scores to do so, but then I decided that I'd rather not be a psychologist and maybe planting trees is a good idea. Started uni, decided that was also pretty silly because I started a business degree, which is not particularly good use of 3 or 4 years of your time.
No.
And then my best mate at the time, his dad was a landscaper and he was looking for an apprentice. And I beat out another couple of mates of mine to get that job. And 26 years later, here I am.
It's quite a career.
It's been a while. Yeah. Yeah.
How long? So you did your apprenticeship. Did you stay with that employer for a period of time after?
I did. I was there for a touch over 2 years longer. And then I decided that I needed to go elsewhere to relieve myself of the moron boss kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, I left, and 2 months later he was gone. He'd
Had enough.
yeah, I could be arrogant and say that I was the be all and end all, but maybe not. But yeah,
Hey, it's your podcast. If you want to tell everyone you're the be all and end all, let's do it.
This is true. And yeah, but once I left, it probably meant that the tech savviness of I guess to a degree, horticulture is a science, so there's a little bit in it. And I was probably the main man, and I left, and it fell apart. Really,
That's the end of it.
Jumped from a few jobs, got poached a couple of times, and then my mate who did his apprenticeship underneath me at the first place, he'd sort of dabbled in other things along the maybe 10 years or so between the working together and then deciding that he's going to start a business. And what am I doing? And I'm like, well, currently working in Port Arlington, 4 hours away with Liv would have been about 7 months old at the time. And
Wow.
I'd be at home. I reckon this might be a good idea, good time to start. And then, 14 years ago, 3 days ago, 14 years ago, and we started the business.
Wow. That wasn't such a smooth ride though in the end, was it?
Oh, look, it's been great. but yeah.
In the early days, sorry.
We've had our ups and downs. That business partner decided that he was not quite cut out for business, and he finished up. And then I got another one, and there's another podcast previously on this channel that you can listen to. That one.
I think we should mention it again.
Yeah. Don't mention the war. No, the war's good. So yeah, there's been some. Well, the last 6 years I've been by myself without a business partner, and I will never have a business partner ever again. But hey, that's not for everybody. Some people really good.
I agree. I saw something recently. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Mark Boris, or it might have been another really savvy business person. I do not recall who it was. They said they would never be without a business partner. But they must have had some really good experiences, because I personally, that's not for me either. Again, I don't think I would go into a business partnership again. I think that it leaves you bare. I think that would be the best way to explain it. I don't think it even matters whether it's a positive or a negative experience or somewhere in the middle. It will open you up, crack you bare,
Mm.
and somehow you've got to maintain friendships, relationships through that process, and it doesn't always turn out to the best. And yet, some people seem to do it really successfully. I personally don't know what the key is to getting it really right.
No, and I have my suspicions. I've talked to other landscapers that have a business partner that is an accountant or
Yes.
something like that. So have no ability to turn up to site and
Mm,
say anything about the job, the project, or whatever. Um, and I guess if the relationship and I don't know, the job description or the this is what I'm going to do and that's what you're going to do kind of thing is worked out pretty well. That's probably the way that it would work pretty good. With
mm.
that doesn't have to be an accountant, just maybe somebody that isn't on the tools at all ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't have the same skill set as you. So
Yeah,
you're always going to bump into one another.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's why tradie relationships work so well as business partners. Because, in my example, I can't go and pick up, well, I can go and pick up tools, but I can't build a house. I could
Mm.
try, but I guarantee it'd fall over the first time there was a bit of a breeze. And so I have a distinct lane to stay in, whereas he isn't so good at the business side of things. So he does what he's best at as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's kind of like what you said, that the husband wife tradie thing.
Yeah.
To a degree can work really well.
Mm.
Yeah. Wife doesn't want to be a teacher anymore. Mine still does.
We should talk about that because most of the people we have on the show that are tradies do work as a couple in business, but that's not always the case. Many women have established careers they don't want to leave, and they may lean in and help out from time to time, but they don't necessarily want to make a career out of it. And in your case, it worked really successfully.
Yeah, definitely. And certainly Elisa was a sounding board and a being a teacher for almost as long as I've been a landscaper, um, has a different way of looking at even just the employee employer relationship kind of thing. We've had some good people work for me over the years and some hard ones to deal with. But then having that, well, I suppose going back to it, somebody who isn't on site,
Mm.
that point of view is pretty pretty important.
Mm.
And the Victorian teachers have just won their pay rise, so there's every chance that she'll get her pay rise over the next 3 years, and I can retire and stay at home. Yeah,
Oh man, that feels like a landmine that I'm going to walk around.
yeah, no, that's fine.
I One of my favorite things about Elisa, and it's typical in our community, I find, is the tradie wives that do have their own careers still really enjoy the social aspect of tradies and business and what we do. Because we do like a good time. Not everything we do here is serious. In fact, a very small part of it is serious. A lot of it's a lot of fun.
Mm.
And Elisa was a great support. She came along to ladies' retreats. She came along to conferences, any of the live events that we did. She got a lot of value out of that. And I think that that's actually an important highlight that we've never really spoken about before. You don't have to be involved in the business to take learnings and companionship and friendship and relationships out of something like tradies and business.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reality is of being a teacher, there's probably almost as many teachers in the community as what there is tradies. It seems to be every second wife is a teacher, which has made it really good for her.
Mm,
And there's, I suppose, especially the teachers that perhaps do dabble in the business a little bit, but also the ones that don't. And being at conference, being at ladies retreat with those other girls, it's an instant we've got something in common.
mm,
But also it just there's a like an intuition between them.
mm.
They just get it. They get the tradie thing. They get the teacher thing. They get the hanging out with a bunch of 13-year-olds that don't want to sit still in the classroom, but then, getting home to the husband who's either had a good day or a bad day, and it's all sorts of chaos. So there's a lot of understanding there.
Mm.
And the reality is, you put it in a social situation, and the stress disappears, and you're just having fun together.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun and a lot of understanding.
Yeah.
You are one of our tradies who gets away with many of our other tradiepreneurs outside of the program. This is my favorite thing that happens every single year. There's a bunch of you
Mm.
that head away camping. Do you want to share about your little camping trip?
Yeah, we do. It's becoming less and less camping and more, let's find 3 cabins, 4 cabins in a row and stay dry. Not that it never rains in Victoria, let's be
Of
fair.
course it doesn't.
Um, but yeah, there's a couple of us that are still part of the program, but a couple of the old members that we still catch up with, sort of in the northern Victorian region, and yeah, swing a golf club or two, and maybe or maybe not break 100 for a couple of us. The others do a bit better. But yeah, again, the girls love it. The kids get along pretty well. Liv's the oldest, and she's getting uh, entertained by a few girls that are sort of 3 or 4 years younger than her.
Yeah.
Keeps her on her toes and wears her out a little bit, but that's okay. And that's what getting older and turning 15 and all that kind of thing does. But yeah, we try and do that every sort of November, December each year, and just it's I mean, it's nice and close to Christmas, but it's just a quick little switch off and hang out. Again, same thing. It's the tradies and the wives getting together and decompressing a little bit before. I mean, we all manage it better now, but before the
Yeah.
Christmas rush. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's really important. It's one of my favorite things.
Mm.
I get lots of sneaky photos, and I feel a lot of FOMO when you guys were all away camping. It looked like a lot of fun to me. Now, Steve, actually, before I go on, I want to say being a business owner really isn't too far different from being a psychologist.
No, and I mean, obviously, I'm not a psychologist, but it's still something that intrigues me. Human behavior, in all sorts of ways and directions. And you can probably tie, I mean, guess with landscaping being a finishing trade, but also it it helps people live in their house.
Mm,
There is that sort of element of, okay, how will you use that? Using a bit of a psychology kind of reasoning behind some of the decisions and that sort of thing. But then, of course, you've got um, staff that are not getting on with other staff, and you've got to sort of work your behavioural sciences kind of theories going on there, and how are we going to manage this and that kind of thing. There's probably a lot of parallels.
I think there's a lot, particularly with some of the experiences that you have been. Well, now I can say fortunate enough to have had. Maybe at the time we didn't think we were very fortunate.
Yeah, and I'm not dead, so it hasn't killed me. So mm,
Thank goodness for that. All right, Steve, you're doing something a bit different. You've made some pretty big decisions in the last few months, and you're there's a plot twist. Do you want to share your plot twist with us?
yeah, so quite a difference. I've decided to hang up the boots. I say that knowing full well that I'm probably still going to be wearing them. Um, However, I'm not going to be in business anymore. I've
Yeah.
decided that 14 years is a good tenure, and it's time to move on, time to do something different. But in the same space, I'll be a site supervisor for a residential builder. Especially in the last 6 years being part of TIB, I think most of the skills that I've learned, definitely in the last 6 years, I'll be just continuing on.
Mm.
Um, I guess it's always the same. The mechanic's car is the one that's a bit rough. The builder's house is never finished, or the landscaper's house is not even, like, I haven't even got the mower going. So there's a lot to do here. So if I feel the need, I need to build something with a paver or a goodness knows what, I've got plenty of room to do it here. I don't have to be doing it for somebody else or for me. And in saying that, that was one of my caveats. I didn't want to finish up the business and go landscape for somebody else.
Yes.
It was and I mean, obviously I'm going to be off the tools, but
Mm.
that was sort of the deal that I made with myself. If I'm going to finish it up, I'll do something a little bit different that doesn't involve carrying a shovel, towing an excavator, whatever it might be.
It's a part of business ownership that doesn't get spoken about at all. And I feel like it is one of the ultimate decisions that we can make as a business owner. And that's the freedom that owning a business gives you. You get to choose it's a choose your own adventure story. You get to choose where to from here.
Mm.
So I guess what I want to ask you, Steve, is tell us about the process of making the choice for you. Was it hard to make the choice?
It was extremely difficult to make the choice. I mean, in saying that, this year has been incredibly skinny as far as work's concerned. Those of us who are in Victoria know that it's not exactly a flourishing state at the moment. And so a lot of people are not necessarily spending their money. And the reality is landscape's a little bit of a luxury.
Mm.
Um, there's still work there, and I still have been quoting and winning jobs. Just, I would say I've probably quoted maybe a third to a quarter of the amount of jobs that I would have at this stage last year. And I wouldn't have said last year was particularly busy.
Yep.
And so to then come to the decision to finish it up, I still had to wrestle with I'm just quitting here.
Mm.
And it's taken a fair bit. Like, I'd probably made the decision that I was going to do it February, March-ish, thereabouts.
Yep.
And was not quite sure how I was going to actually get to this actual point of closing. But certainly the head noise of you just giving up was fairly, at times, difficult to get over. At the same time, it was probably something that I probably had to come to the terms myself that I'm planning on going to a position that I'm going to be using all the skills that the last 14 years has taught me. You could call it an apprenticeship or whatever, but at the same time, it's the same as an apprenticeship. Like, you go be a sparky and you do your 4 years, and then you do your test and you're an A grade electrician. Like, it's that experience that gets you to the A grade. It's not just, you don't just decide you're going to do it.
That's right.
And I think even in just the last little while, as far as the two lots of previous employees that I've had, the difference of way I've approached the most recent two has still just probably fine-tuned some of the skills that I'm going to be using day in and day out, working for somebody else.
Mm. So tell me about the reaction from those around you when you've shared that this is the decision that you've made.
Pretty good. Elise was quite happy with it. Of course, that's a conversation that we've been having for nearly 6 months. So it was never a surprise for her. The kids were like, "Oh gosh, right, no worries. What's that mean?"
Mhm.
And then I don't know. I suppose you could say, as you get older, your circle of friends becomes smaller.
Yes.
And so it's not like there's a lot of people in my life that are going to be concerned for my well-being or um, negative on a choice that I've made. So yeah, the support's been really good, and the general consensus of and other people that I know that are business owners in different fields like financial management, that kind of stuff. They're like, "Oh, you won't know yourself. It'll be so good. It'll be a little bit of stress release, all that kind of thing." Obviously, there's still going to be work stresses. It's not
Mm.
smooth sailing all the time. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
No.
But yeah, so it's well received.
I'm pleased to hear that. I wonder if there's anything you think you might miss about being a business owner.
Yeah, it will be. I won't miss landscaping. As I said, I can do it at home. I've got, we're on 4.6 acres. I've got plenty of scope, and of course,
Good.
nothing's finished, so I can finish a few projects.
Mm.
Um, like, it's probably easier to say the things that I won't miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall there'll be elements of even just a sense of freedom. Sometimes you don't always have the freedom, but even just that sense of everything is my choice I don't think it's going to be hard to deal with that I'm not
Mm.
doing it, but it's something that I'll probably be like, "Oh, that was kind of fun." Because the reality is the last 14 years has been a hoot. It's not always great, but it's been good.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the new job? What are you looking forward to in your new job?
The relationship building, which, as a business owner who, like, I've had a crack at getting off the tools, that was sort of the main idea, is being that person who's organising the materials and catching up with the boys and doing a toolbox talk and keeping keeping the clients aware of what's going on and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that is straight off what I've been doing that I'll be continuing to do. Obviously, then building it's different than landscaping. But the reality is it's systems and procedures, and it's rather than building something flat on the ground, it's building something towards the sky. So I'm pretty excited about that I still get to have what I've come to enjoy the most out of running a business. I still get to have that kind of impact on a day-to-day. Yeah. Building those relationships with suppliers and subbies and clients and people that I work with, that kind of thing.
Something you do very well. Steve, do you have any regrets?
Do I have any regret? No.
Mm.
There's probably decisions that I've made that I had to make that, not that I could have not made them, but if I could have had my time again, I don't know if I would have necessarily done things differently, but I maybe would have picked up things earlier to try and keep, like, especially not so much. Well, I mean, the last two guys I had working for me were great. And I was able to get them. Well, one of them qualified. The other one was on his way.
Mm-hmm.
But the previous employers, like having a bit more, having the experience I've had now, with managing different personalities in the work site, could have picked up earlier on that, and then perhaps it would change what I'm doing now, but it would have been that I could have that sort of site supervisor working for me kind of thing. I suppose it's one of those ones. If you're running a business, do you want to, or what level do you want to get to? Elon Musk is just apparently now worth $1 trillion. I'm a landscaper. That's never going to happen. But the scaling can still be there. And had I run things differently 3 or 4 years ago, maybe the scale could have been a little bit higher than what it has been in the last year or two.
I have to wonder if that was meant for you and if it's what you actually wanted. And I think that's maybe an impossible question to answer, but when you look back over it, do you have any feeling about that?
Yeah, and wanted. That was the thing. Another landscaper here who has downscaled since, but he was running 10 guys, office staff, all that kind of stuff. And it sounds great in theory. Could have been financially unbelievable, but is it something that I necessarily wanted? And I'm still not 100% sure that I ever did, not to that scale. Having 2 or 3 guys would have been enough. Yeah.
I often think that's the problem. We don't consider the end goal. We talk about it a lot. We don't really get clear on, well, what am I doing all of this for? Where is this meant to be heading? And so we get a little lost in the weeds and we create things that aren't necessarily in line with what our heart truly wants.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I need to reassure all of our tradiepreneurs that are listening that you're not going anywhere. You're staying part of the community.
Yeah.
Plenty that you can share, and I'll be darned if I'm going to have a big social event without you there. You got to be part.
Yeah.
So, Runes is not going anywhere for anybody listening. Runes, I would love to ask you if a tradie's listening to this and they've had a really good crack. They've tried some coaching or some business education. They've done all of the things and they still feel really stressed and overwhelmed. And it's not what they thought it was going to be. What would you say to them?
I guess business isn't for everybody.
Yep.
Which is true, but it's also kind of like what we were alluding to before. It's still a choice. Being in business doesn't mean you have to have $10 million turnover, enough people to run that, 50 tradies, yada yada. Like you don't have to have that. You can, like, I've been, probably some of my most successful times has been when I have been by myself. It makes things a little bit hard. There's some things that you can't do. There's only, there's 2 hands on site. It's not all, not everything is possible. But if you're making the right choices as far as where your direction is, you can manage your own expectations, bring yourself a decent income, do the work that you like, that brings you the most joy, get to the point where, because it is, perhaps by yourself, you can't do everything all at once. So you can choose your clients a little bit more. And I think as much as I said at the start that business isn't for everybody, if you want to make a good go of it and you decided that that's what you want to do, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Business can be for you.
Yeah, it totally can be. And I think, look, there's no shade in making choice. That's what life is ultimately all about. We're meant to be able to choose our own adventure and have the ultimate choice that works for us. And I'm really proud and chuffed that you were comfortable to share your journey with us all today, because there'll be people listening to this that, might be confused and think that they've got to make a go of it, that they're stuck and that's what they must do. When in actual fact, life is about finding a way to be happy. And if you're happy working with someone else, then that's a goldmine. That's exactly what you should be doing. If you don't like running a business, don't do it anymore. There's a way out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as I said before, like 14 years of running a business, 6 years been with you and Woz beforehand. Like everything that I've learned is something that I'm still going to be using. It's not like I'm not like I'm going to go stack shelves at Coles or work at Bunnings or something like that and just bum out for the rest of my life. I'm only 45. I've still got a fair bit of years to catch up on superannuation and all that kind of thing. But it's still, as you say, you still got to do something that you enjoy. And I'm using skills that I've learned through business.
Yep. It's never a waste. There's always an opportunity.
Yeah, never a waste.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Runes. It has been a pleasure to chat with you yet again on the podcast today. I feel like we need to get you back in a couple months' time and see how it's all going, see whether you're really loving what you're up to and what you're doing, what lessons you can share with us from the other side. And I reckon you are going to bump into a lot of tradies that will probably enjoy coming back to your episodes here and listening in to the journey along the way.
Pleasure.
Thank you for being here, as always, and thank you for being part of the community. I'm glad that you're not going too far away and we'll still get to see you. Life wouldn't be the same.
No, here for a long time yet.
Good, 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 good.
As long as I'm allowed back into the Zoom meetings, I'll still be here.
You'll always be allowed and you're not allowed to go anywhere. Yeah. It's compulsory. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Tradies in Business podcast with Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.